This is Babblin with Kids About Film, part of the Babblin Bout Film podcast. This is episode 2. Our film today is Kubo and the Two Strings. It was directed by Travis Knight. Our guest today is my son, Aiden Demmler.
You are listening to Babblin bout Film, a podcast for movie lovers.
Hello and welcome to our second episode of Babblin Bout Film. Today we're doing something a little different. We're doing Babblin with Kids About Film, where we talk about basically just kids films, and we normally have a guest, which is a kid. Today it's going to be my son, Aiden Demmler.
Hi, everybody.
So if you're a first-time listener, you can check out show notes, upcoming episodes, and links to all of our social media at babblinboutfilm.com. Follow the show at Babblin Bout Film on Twitter and Facebook. All right, so let's get into this episode. We're talking about Kubo and the Two Strings. We actually just finished watching it. It was an amazing movie. There was so many cool things that happened in it. All of the way it looks too was super awesome, wasn't it?
Yeah.
One thing I really liked is in the very beginning of it, all the waves and stuff that are crashing down, and it seemed really sad though, right?
Yeah.
Whenever it first starts off, you see a woman in a boat, right? And she's going through what looks like an ocean.
Yeah, and that person that's in the boat is actually Kubo's mother. And Kubo isn't a girl as many people think, but she's actually a boy.
Yeah. I think what gets people because you've probably seen videos on YouTube and stuff talking about the movie, other kids talking about it.
No, not really.
Oh, okay. Well, people might think that Kubo is a girl because he has longer hair and it's a different culture, right? It's from China and stuff. So
yeah,
it could be, maybe confusing to some people, but Kubo's actually a boy, and we find out that Kubo loses his eye.
Yeah.
That's a pretty crazy part of the movie. Right from the beginning, we find this little baby because the mom, we don't really know at first, but it looks like Kubo and his mom escaped some bad situation somewhere, and they're going into hiding.
Yeah, and where they live is kind of like a mountain
Yeah, that was really cool. This huge mountain that they have a home inside of a cave. But it was really cool looking the way they did it.
Yeah.
Yeah, so, all right. So we find out that Kubo's mom is kind of fleeing from some bad situation. And we hear narration, somebody talking. And we find out that's actually Kubo telling a story.
Yeah.
And we find out that Kubo's mom, she gets hurt whenever she's trying to escape. And then that's the first time we actually see Kubo. And we realize that Kubo's missing an eye, and then we hear the narration talk about how the grandfather took something from him.
Yeah, and what his mom, she got a boo-boo, a cut on her eye.
Yeah, because she fell in the ocean and hit her head on a rock.
Yeah.
And then got swept up on a beach.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was
it's
pretty
not
crazy.
Really a beach.
Well, there was sand and stuff, so something like that. After that scene happened, they awaken, and Kubo is by himself. He's making a fire. He's what you said he's maybe 9 years old.
Yeah,
like that.
8, 9,
9 years
or
old.
7.
He made a fire all by himself. Do you think you could do that? No,
Never.
I know you're you're almost 7 now.
Well,
you're gonna turn 7 here in a couple in what, less than a month, somewhere around a month.
Yeah, 6.5.
Yeah, so, you're almost 7. So I couldn't see you building a fire. That'd be crazy.
I know.
Yeah. So he built a fire, and he's taking care of his mom because it seems like she's kind of sick or something's wrong with her. She has some problem with her head. She forgets stuff a lot.
Yeah, she get flashbacks.
She gets flashbacks, yeah. We then find out that Kubo leaves his home and he goes to a nearby village where he what does he do in the village?
He's he's a storyteller.
He's a storyteller, yeah?
And he tells this story, and after the she was this about to finish the story.
When he was about to finish the story.
This bell rang.
A bell rang, and then
bell.
Let's not spoil that yet. Let's wait till we get further into the story a little bit. Okay, so he goes and he's telling this story about this guy named Hanzo, right? Yeah. And he has to fight, and he's facing who? The
Moon King.
The Moon King.
And
how do you let's not spoil anything until we get further along. This is just telling the story. I know you're like real excited, huh?
Okay.
But anyways, so the boy, Kubo, he's telling a story to these villagers. He's telling a story about Hanzo fighting the Moon King. And to defeat the Moon King, you need 3 things. What are the 3 things you need? Do you remember?
I forget.
The sword unbreakable.
Yeah.
The breastplate impenetrable. And the helmet invulnerable.
Yeah, those are the 3 armor pieces.
Yeah. So what's really cool about this movie is that while the boy is telling this story, he has these like magical origami characters coming to life.
Yeah.
Like fighting and doing crazy stuff.
Yeah, in their paper.
Yeah, they're paper origami. How crazy is that?
She has this like I keep getting that messed up.
Yeah.
Has this little thing. What is it called again? I forget.
A banjo?
Yeah,
a banjo.
And she has this little thing and make like this thing, and then the paper flies up and folded itself into like these guys and stuff.
Yeah, so they're all fighting, and then like you see like some really cool origami. Like you see a spider in the Hanzo character, which is like he's like a Chinese warrior that's like in armor and stuff, but he's made out of paper, and he's fighting a spider. He fights a shark. He even fights a chicken. And what does the chicken do?
To the dude, he thought he was done, and this egg, the chicken farts an egg, and he just goes flying.
So the chicken farts an egg out, and the egg hits Hanzo?
Yes.
That's pretty crazy.
And then he gets really angry.
Another cool thing that I thought when I was watching it, what I thought was really cool was when Hanzo is slicing the different like the chicken or the shark or the spider, you see blood come up, but it's just paper, and blood like kind of spray. You know how like in movies or something, if there'd be like blood spraying on people's faces or anything, but in this it's like red paper just flies up and hits people in the face.
Paper and just like flies
like confetti or something. But the one guy, it was kind of funny. The one guy, when like the fake, paper blood hit him in the face, he went and pretended like he was gonna throw up, like because this is like a gruesome scene. Yeah, he does like something weird like that. That was pretty cool. So that's when we actually see the Moon King show up, and like you see the Moon King and Hanzo. The origami, the paper origami, they start fighting each other, right? Yeah. And then right when that happens is when the bell rings. And then all the villagers are all like really upset, right? Because like the story ends. Yeah, like this big dude looks like he has tons of muscles. And he's like, no, don't leave yet. Yeah. And they're just like, finish the story. Yeah, that's pretty crazy. It's... the funny part. But he says, if you want to hear the rest, come back tomorrow. That's what Kubo says. Yeah. So he goes back home, right? Because it's getting late, and I guess when that bell rings, it's like it's bedtime. So like we gotta go, or it's like sort of like how here it's like the streetlights come on. It's nighttime, So he goes home. And he's with his mom, and his mom's telling a story to him, right? Mm-hmm. And that's another time where it's kind of sad. It's like because the mother's trying to tell the story about Hanzo and the Moon King, and she forgets because she's sick. Mm-hmm. So she's like, oh, maybe I can tell you another story I don't forget, and that was kind of sad. But that's when we find out that Hanzo the character in their story is actually Kubo's father. So, in that he died while protecting Kubo from his grandfather and his aunts. So that was pretty crazy. We kind of learned a little bit about that. Did you notice that whenever the boat was coming in the very beginning, the baby was on the mother's back in like a little pouch, and that pouch was red with like an emblem on it. And that's the same emblem that's on the back of Kubo's shirt that he wears all the time.
Yeah.
That was pretty. That was like his father's robe.
Oh, I just really want to tell something, but until we get farther into the
You're so
story.
excited. That's funny. They go to bed, right? And then the mother has a nightmare. A nightmare, right? What happens during the nightmare?
Kubo's paper flies up everywhere and just goes around in circles.
What does it start doing though? It starts turning into origami.
Yeah.
Yeah, it starts turning into origami. So that's kind of crazy, and it's kind of shows like all this magical power. And another thing that happened in that scene, the mother asks, "What happened to your eye, Kubo?" So that even shows some more that like she keeps forgetting everything, like her powers are leaving her. She's like almost no powers left anymore.
Yeah.
So that scene ends. They go back to bed and stuff. They wake up, and Kubo goes back to the village, right? Because he initially said he was going to tell the rest of the story. But some of the townspeople there, they start talking about like the lanterns and the lamps, right? And I thought that was kind of cool that it showed some of like the culture of the Chinese people, like the stuff that they do. They go and they give prayers to like the spirits and all that kind of stuff. That was cool. Kubo, what does Kubo do after being told about the lamps and lanterns and stuff? Do you remember?
Boxes?
Makes his own lamp, right?
Yeah.
And what does he do with it?
There's these little like tombstones. They put the Kubos. She has to put them.
He has to make his own lamp, right? His own lantern.
Put them on the rock, and the other people have tombstones. Which is, didn't you see?
Oh, yeah, so they all have, like, tombstones that are, like, real nice and decorative. And Kubo's father's tombstone is just a big rock. I didn't even think about that. That's a really good point.
Yeah, and they have to set their thing next to it and not on top of it,
Yeah. Okay, so So there's all kinds of other people there too that are like like praying, talking to like their loved ones, right?
Yeah.
And then that died, yeah. And then they put their lantern or lamp in the water, right? To kind of send it off, and it's like glowing. There's like a candle in it or something.
Yeah.
Yeah, and so Kubo, he doesn't do that, right?
He can't do it.
What does he do to it?
He just puts it in a paper ball and just throws.
He like crinkles it up and throws it. He's like upset, right? Because his father's not talking back to him. He doesn't understand.
And then it goes back to his mother at home.
Well, what happens before that? Remember, it gets dark, and all of the lamps and lanterns that are in the water, they all go out, and then who shows up?
Kubo's aunts.
Yeah, and they are the creepiest ever.
Yeah.
They're so creepy. The way they talk, the way they look. They have like little masks on, right? Like little like porcelain masks. Dude, they look creepy.
Yeah, they have big hats and they're just like looking down. They're not even looking at Kubo.
So why are they there? What do they want?
Her other eye.
His other eye.
Yeah.
His other eye, yeah. And what happened whenever they're going back to because Kubo gets scared and he just starts booking it. He like runs as fast as he can to go back to his mom, back at their home.
Yeah.
So what happens then? The sisters are chasing after him, right? The ants.
Yeah, and then they kind of like turn into
smoke or something.
Gas or
Smoke, something.
or air.
And then the smoke starts attacking all of the villagers.
Yeah.
While the smoke or the ants, whatever you want to call it, while they're chasing after Kubo, they start attacking all the villagers.
Like, it's this air that's it's this, like, stuff that's invading the whole entire world.
Yeah, it's pretty crazy. But then, Kubo can't make it back.
Yeah.
He can't, and then his mom shows up, right?
Yeah, he falls, and then she just, like, picks up something.
Yeah.
I think it was the
banjo.
monkey.
The banjo.
No, the mom picks up the banjo.
Oh, picks up the monkey and hands it to Kubo.
Yeah.
And then the mom has the banjo.
She gets the thing and does, like, the power.
Like the string, strokes the strings to make, like, a magic power thing.
And then it just goes, like, boom.
Kaboom, yeah. Yeah, I remember when we were watching it, you were like, Dad, what notes are you taking? And he was like, you should write down kaboom. That was pretty funny. The mother sends Kubo to find the armor. Because this armor, in the legend of everything that's going on, it has the power to defeat the Moon King.
Yeah.
Yeah, so the mother decides to sacrifice herself. You know what sacrifice means, right? And so tries to kill her sisters, which are Kubo's aunts.
Yeah.
And so she dies, right? The mother dies. Okay, and then Kubo awakens, and who's in front of him?
The monkey.
The monkey is in front of him.
Yeah.
And that was the little toy, right?
Yeah. There's like I think it was called a charm.
A charm, yeah.
And it was this little monkey toy.
Yeah,
and Kubo liked it. She called it Mr. Monkey.
He called the toy or the charm Mr. Monkey.
Yeah.
And you know what's pretty crazy is the mother always said, keep the monkey with you at all times to Kubo.
Yeah.
So in case he needed to come, in case the monkey needed to come alive, the monkey could. It's pretty crazy. Where does the monkey take Kubo to spend the night?
In a whale's stomach.
In a dead whale. What did I tell you a dead body or a dead thing is called?
I forget.
A carcass. So they sleep in a whale's carcass.
Yeah.
And do you remember what the monkey says to Kubo about the smell?
Everything stinks in here.
Yeah, well, the monkey's like, I know you're probably going to want to complain about the smell, but just know, my smell is 10 times better, so it's going to be worse for me. That's what the monkey tells Kubo. Yeah. So, we kind of find out later as the story kind of progresses that the mother used the last of her magic to bring the monkey to life.
Yeah.
Yeah, to kind of help Kubo on his journey. Because that's really what this movie is in the story. It's like the hero's journey, which tons of movies are about the hero's journey. Like The Wizard of Oz is about the hero's journey. Like there's so many movies and books about the hero's journey. Did you know that Kubo found something or grabbed something off of his mother right before she died? Do you remember what it was?
A hair.
A piece of hair, yeah. And what did the monkey do with it?
She said it was a memory.
Yeah, she turned it into a
bracelet.
Right? So she has like a bracelet. She's like, and it's because the hair in the bracelet, it's a memory. And the monkey says, memories are powerful things. That's something that the story tells you in the beginning because you know what? It's going to be important later on in the movie, right?
I know.
Yeah. They wake up and I guess the monkey's freaking out.
Yeah.
Because while Kubo was asleep,
he was saying words in his sleep.
Yeah, was saying words in his sleep. And then all the paper was flying around doing crazy stuff, just like it did with his mother.
Only with one paper.
Oh, well, whatever. So
one paper makes one thing.
Okay. So what did the paper turn into?
It turned into Hanzo.
Hanzo, the paper origami warrior, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then He'd been standing there for like an hour.
Yeah? And what was he doing?
Like this.
Yeah. So what did he end up doing?
He was pointing his sword right out that little hatch they went into the whale's stomach.
Yeah, there's like a hole in the whale. Maybe it was the blowhole from the whale that they climbed into.
Yeah.
That could have been it, huh?
Yeah.
So Hanzo
like
is pointing in a
this
direction.
way.
Yeah. So
Yeah,
what's he
like-
pointing at?
He was pointing at that hole
Yeah, but for what reason?
to get out.
I think he's pointing the way to those three things: the sword, the unbreakable sword, the breastplate impenetrable, and the helmet invulnerable. He's trying to help them on their journey, don't you think?
Well, yeah.
And you know what's really funny then? What the monkey says? The monkey says, "Trusting our fate to a small paper man seems like a bad idea."
Yeah.
Like, that's pretty funny.
Yeah.
Yeah. They continue on their journey, right? They're following this paper man. And then we see this scene where there's these, I don't know, I guess Kubo in his mind, he just starts he sees a bird in the sky, and then one of his pieces of paper flies out, turns into a bird, and starts flying with the bird, chasing the bird. It's a bird origami chasing a real bird.
Yeah, and then this like ton over blue paper just flies out and turns into a bird.
Yeah.
This chases after bird, after bird, after
And
bird.
there's even part of that scene where Kubo is like mad at the monkey because the monkey's kind of like, you know, a meanie.
And then the bird turns into
A mosquito?
a mosquito that goes
That's pretty crazy.
and then goes and hits the monkey.
Yeah, that was a really cool. It was like really cool, like just the way they were all flying together, like a real like
Yeah.
flock of birds, and, you know,
Yeah.
whatever. Like it was really really cool.
Uh-huh.
There's a lot of scenes in this movie look really cool.
Yeah.
You know. At that point, something else happens, and Kubo is talking about how he didn't mean to do any of this stuff. You know, he didn't mean to
It's
make all this.
magic.
It's magic, and it's kind of like being
And then-
controlled by his head.
Before that, he was like, "Oh, mosquitoes."
Oh, he did, yeah. He kind of
Yeah,
like
but,
subconsciously was like, "I wish mosquitoes would get the monkey, or something like that."
And then after the monkey looked at him, he was like, "Oh, mosquitoes."
Yeah. So it kind of shows that like Kubo's becoming more powerful,
Yeah.
and that's kind of a scary
The
thing.
world gets
You get stronger, and the world gets more dangerous.
yeah.
I knew you knew what you wanted to say. You just couldn't get it out. It's really good that you're thinking about that kind of stuff, though. That's really cool. And you know, we see for a split second somebody's following them. And that's kind of
Yeah.
scary.
Yeah.
I have a note here. I don't remember what it meant, but it was like, "Don't mess with the monkey." You remember what that was? I guess the monkey said it was like a funny part.
Yeah.
So at this point, now we find out that the thing that was following them was this samurai insect, which we call the beetle,
Yeah.
right? And he was he doesn't have any memory of like anything,
Yeah.
but he just knows that he was a student of samurai teachings of Kubo's father, Hanzo. That's all that is in his mind. He just thinks he's a student, right? And at first, the monkey does not trust this beetle, right? They do not like each other. But the beetle's kind of like a little dumb, right? Like a little silly and dumb, right?
Yeah.
Well, he doesn't have any memories either, so yeah. And then right before they leave their little room where they met the beetle, the monkey goes, "What's it?"
I got my eyes on you.
Yeah, like, you know, signals with like the monkey's hands. Yeah,
Yeah.
that was pretty funny. They leave their little whatever home of the beetle, and they're on their way to on their journey again, and they picked up a new friend, the beetle, and they're going to find these pieces. And Hanzo, the paper origami guy, he finds a cave, right? And then what's cool is like when he gets in like these little tiny holes.
He unfolds himself and then flies through and then folds himself back together.
Yeah, to fit through small spaces. He unfolds himself into a regular piece of paper. Yeah, that was pretty cool. So they get into this cave, and then there's this crash. This loud crash. Something happens, and they fall through something.
But before that, the beetle? The beetle was like finding something and then accidentally broke something.
Oh.
And then
that's when they fell?
No.
Oh, okay. Go ahead.
Next to him was Kubo. And he went like, he did it.
That's funny.
And then they just dropped their face and then ran there because everything was shaking.
Oh, okay.
And then that's when they fell.
Okay, I must have missed that. So that's cool. But so after this crash and they fall through the floor, they land on the ground. Yeah. The beetle lands on his back. Yeah. And he can't get up.
Because
he's like
kept rocking.
Yeah.
And then trying to reach his feet to get up.
That was pretty crazy.
He kept rocking over and over and he went like, no, I don't need help. And then he kept trying and went like, oh, I need help now.
So in this cave, once they fall through, they find a sword. And so we're like, they found the sword, right? They found it. So the beetle...
Yeah, in the hand, but,
Okay, so they grab the sword, and the beetle thinks, like, I got the sword. The sword... What was it? The sword... Unbreakable.
Yeah, but actually...
But when they pull the sword out, what happens?
The hand rises it up and finishes the humongous skeleton, and...
There's this huge skeleton, and the skeleton's kind of dumb too, right? Yeah. He kind of seems kind of silly and dumb. And
then he got the bow and then, shot all of his arrows at the dude's face.
Yeah, and Kubo, because Kubo has wings.
Yeah.
Just when he needs wings, magic wings appear, and then they fly up. And on top of the skeleton's head, what is there?
Tons of swords.
Tons of swords stabbed into the skeleton's head, right?
But before that, the monkey tried to the sword. I wrote the sword is unbreakable and hit the skeleton's leg, but it broke.
So I guess it's not the sword unbreakable, right?
And the beetle went does that mean the handle broke or something?
Oh, does that mean that the handle's unbreakable? Yeah, that was pretty funny. So there's all these swords up on top of the skeleton's head, right?
Yeah,
and they're up there trying to find the right one, right?
There it is! And it was the middle one, the long one that's pretty bigger than the other sword handle kind of things.
Oh, you know what? But while they're looking for the sword and they awaken the sword, the beetle, before he starts firing his bow, he says, I got a bone to pick with you. Which is funny because he's a skeleton made of bones. Yeah.
Oh, I forgot about that part.
Yeah. You being a kid who's only 6 years old, almost 7, you might not know this, but what's cool is the Beatles' voice is a really famous actor named Matthew McConaughey. So some of the viewers, they know who that is. You probably don't know who that is. Yeah, I'm trying to think if there's any movies with Matthew McConaughey that would be like kids movies that you would like. I don't know. I can't think of any off the top of my head. After the podcast, I'll show you who he is so you can see his face.
Okay.
Because, obviously this is a cartoon, so all we ever see are cartoons and we just hear their voices, right?
Yeah.
All right, so they're up on top of this skeleton and they're trying to find the sword. And this beetle is funny.
And then this, keep pulling swords out of the head.
And breaking them to see if they break, right?
Yeah.
And that's another time when the beetle, he says, are you sure it isn't the sword unfindable? Because they can't find it because there's so many swords.
And you know what? He shouldn't say that because, Hanzo, He found the sword before.
Yeah, he did have the whole thing before whenever
Yeah.
They finally find the sword, and what happens to the skeleton?
They just like rip it out, and then the skeleton just like his eyes were glowing before, and then they just aren't
turn
glowing.
off. They turn off, and then
the skeleton falls and breaks.
it just crumbles apart.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's pretty cool. So then they're outside, and they're on their way now to go find another piece. So they got the sword. They need two more pieces.
They were just having a little conversation.
Who was having a conversation?
The monkey and the beetle.
Yeah, they were having a conversation.
And then Kubo was like, you know, guys, I can still hear you when he was playing.
Yeah.
And then the monkey was like, play louder then.
Yeah, that's right. They
and
did
then
that.
she saw a leaf.
It's all right, buddy. Go ahead.
Saw a leaf just flying in the air.
Yeah. And then decided to do what? Use his magic to do what?
Make a humongous boat.
Yeah, because the beetle and the monkey were arguing about how are we going to get across this long lake, right? Because they're on their journey. They got to get across it. And they didn't know how. But Kubo took the initiative and he built a boat with his magic out of leaves.
Yeah.
It's pretty crazy.
The first time I saw it, I was like, are they going to walk on top of that thing? It'll probably break. It's just leaves.
Yeah.
You know?
Seriously. Yeah.
They're just walking on top of leaves. That's almost impossible. How can it... Well, it can walk on leaves.
Yeah. They're finally on the boat. They're making their way across Long Lake. And there's all this story about Long Lake. The moms told him stuff about Long Lake before or whatever.
And the storm starts coming towards them.
Yeah, oh yeah, that's right. But let's get back real quick and talk about when they first get on the boat, everything's kind of nice, right? Yeah. And the beetle's teaching something, right?
Teaching Kubo how to
what's that called? You know it. Come on. Archery. Yes, he's teaching him archery. And he says the first thing you got to learn is to pull back and to
close one of his eyes. And he said, "Oh, okay, you already got that checked because..."
Yeah, you already got that covered because he's already missing an eye. That's kind of like a jerk thing to say.
Yeah.
Huh. That's messed up. Okay. So the Long Lake. One of the stories that Mother told to Kubo. What's in...
Before that, there's still more.
Wait, what?
He shoots the bow, then hits the fish, and then the monkey is like, "Oh, now how are we going to get it?" And then the beetle was like, "Oh, next time the lesson is to teach how to fish."
Oh yeah.
And then he went like, "Wait a minute, give me that arrow." And just gets some rope and ties it around the arrow, and then just shoots the arrow in the fish, and then pulls the rope to get the fish, and they had 3. The ant was like, "We're going to need something to cut this." "Dude, you're dumb. You had the sword."
Oh, yeah.
To cut it. To throw the fish into the air. Get the sword. Slice it into pieces, dummy.
Yeah. All right. So we're back to talking about what has Mother told Kubo about what's under Long Lake. What's in the water?
There's these eyes that keep you down there and talk to you about stuff that you never knew. So these eyes, what the story is that there's eyes under the lake that stare at you and show you secrets to keep you. It's like they kind of show you these great things and they make it so you don't want to leave. So you're stuck there. And it kind of makes, if you stay down underwater, we need air, we'll die. Right? Yeah.
Yeah, so that's pretty scary. So they find out
And then
what else is under
on
what else is under the lake that they have to get.
what is it just called?
The breastplate.
Unbreakable.
It's not unbreakable. It's impenetrable.
I think it was.
Impenetrable. Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Breastplate impenetrable. So it's under the water, and they're like scared because they got to go down there to retrieve it, but there was these eyes there. So who decides to go?
The ant.
The beetle.
The
beetle. Yeah. So he goes down there,
Kubo
right?
jumps down, and then he was the ant. Well, not the ant. The beetle comes up, and he went like, "I got it!" And it's a fish. You're supposed to get the armor piece.
Yeah, yeah. So then he goes back down, right?
And then he goes back down.
But at this point, what's
Kubo.
happening between Monkey and somebody else? What's going on?
Oh,
Monkey and one of the ants are battling each other on the boat.
Yeah.
And Monkey is getting beat up.
Yeah.
Got like gouges and rips in the monkey's belly, and like just all kinds of crazy stuff is happening, right?
Yeah.
It's pretty bad. But it turns out that while Kubo is down underwater, he's looking into one of the eyes, and he finds out that Monkey is actually
his mom.
His mom, yeah. So the eyes are telling him that. And at the same exact point, we cut back, and we're up on top of the boat, and we see Monkey, which we know now is Mother, and the ant fighting each other, and the monkey says that I'm the mother, right?
Yeah.
By whatever way she said, how I can't remember exactly how it was said, but we find out. And so Monkey kills one of the ants. There's two ants, kills one of them.
Yeah.
Yeah, and so Beetle saves Kubo under the ground, but we find out that these eyes, what are these eyes? They're a giant monster.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's this giant monster. So these eyes are staring at Kubo, and while these eyes are staring at Kubo, this like the mouth of the monster is rising from the bottom of the lake to eat it.
Kubo is going down.
Well, okay, Kubo's going down. Maybe both, right? It could be. But it's like a trap to trick you to like Kubo's staying there so this monster can eat you.
Yeah,
that's what's happening.
There's like thousands of teeth.
Yeah, there are tons of teeth. It's pretty scary.
More than our teeth.
Way more than our teeth.
Yeah,
dude.
maybe even 1,000 teeth. Why do you need 1,000 teeth?
You know what it reminds me of? It reminds me of in Star Wars, the Great Pit of Carcoon, the Sarlacc pit, where Boba Fett falls in and gets eaten.
Yeah.
That reminds me of that, but underwater. Yeah. All right, but Kubo gets saved because the beetle goes down there and kills the monster.
Yeah.
Comes back up, and he found the breastplate.
Yeah.
So now he has the sword and the breastplate, which is
the breastplate
amazing.
of
the breastplate impenetrable.
That's not. That's the whole sentence, Dad.
Yeah. So the monkey kills his sister. We find out the monkey is actually the mother, and when they're back on the boat and they're going to go wherever
to get the helmet.
Yeah. So monkey's telling a story about the Hanzo thing and everything about that, and we find out a little more about grandfather, about why he wants Kubo's eye, because the grandfather, the Moon King, is the one that's sending the ants down, right? So why do they want his eyes? They want the eyes because they want to make him blind to humanity, because they're like evil and bad. So if they make him blind to humanity, they can turn him into to be like them. It's pretty crazy.
Yeah, I know.
So, we find out Monkey's power is dwindling a little bit, right? And at this point, Kubo has a dream. And there's this blind man who's like pointing him towards this fortress, kind of showing him this is where the last piece is. And
yeah, it's the helmet.
The helmet invulnerable, right?
Invulnerable.
Helmet
Yeah.
invulnerable.
Yeah.
Yeah, and so remember, like the blind or Kubo asks, "Is this a good dream or a bad dream?" And the blind man's like, "See for yourself." And at first, you think it's a good dream,
Yeah.
but you actually find out it's a bad dream, and we're gonna get to why it's a bad dream.
Yeah.
So there's this old blind man, right?
Yeah.
And stuff, and he shows him the way. So now they're on their way to this fortress. This fortress was Hanzo's fortress when he was trying to destroy the Moon King.
Uh-huh.
So, but the Moon King won and killed Hanzo, killed all of Hanzo's army, all that. So when they get to this fortress, it's in ruins.
Yeah, it's just like ruined.
Yeah.
Like all of the signs of like it's the beetle sign, and all of like the sign there, this rags fell down.
Yeah, it's pretty crazy.
It's just like broken.
And you made a really good point while we were watching it. Is on the walls there's like pictures of all the places that like the sword was the breastplate.
Yeah.
And you said something there, remember?
And if you just went to the helmet first, you could have found where every single one is.
Yeah, so they kind of went the long way around. If they would have went to the fortress first, they would have known, all right, the sword is here and the breastplate is here. Let's do that. But, but we find out that that's not where the helmet is, right? Because it was a trap. The dream was a trap to get Kubo there so the ants could get him. Which there's only one ant left now. And then we find out some more crazy twists, right? Mm-hmm. Who is the beetle?
Kubo's dad.
Yeah. So the sisters, the ant, I'm sorry, I keep saying sisters and ant. They actually cursed Hanzo and turned him into a beetle. And this whole time, the beetle and the monkey are actually Kubo's mom and dad.
Yeah.
And they didn't even know that each other, they didn't know, like, the beetle didn't know that he was Hanzo, and the monkey only kind of talked about it later, right? It was really crazy the way they did it. So it was a huge thing.
Yeah.
So there's a fight that ensues between Monkey and the sister, right? Mm-hmm. Or the ant, I'm sorry.
Yeah.
The ant strikes the monkey down, right? Mm-hmm. And kills the monkey.
Yeah.
Yeah. And goes and is about to strike down... Oh, no. First strikes down Hanzo, the beetle. And then it's about to strike down the monkey. And then Kubo uses his powerful banjo and strikes the strings, as hard as he possibly can, and they break, right?
And then there's only one string left.
And then there's only one string left. And he like, it kind of like, he awakens or something happens where he comes back, and then the monkey is back to being the little wooden charm toy, and it's cut in half, right? So we know that like the monkey's dead. So I guess he didn't save her in time. At this point, there's Hanzo, the little paper origami, who's pointing in a direction to go back to the village.
Yeah.
Yeah. And this
can I tell Mom?
This was super crazy. 1 second. So they go back to this village.
That she tells the story, and when she was just about to finish the story,
the
bell rang.
So back in the beginning, whenever Kubo's at the village telling everybody about this story, and then the bell rings to go home.
Yeah.
Where is this helmet?
It's the bell.
The bell from the beginning is actually the helmet. It was hiding in plain sight.
Yeah.
That's pretty crazy, huh?
So it rang. That bell isn't a normal bell. It's just a helmet.
Yeah, it's a helmet. So Kubo goes and knocks the bell tower down. The bell tower.
Just like walking back.
He gets the helmet.
Yeah. And then
who does Kubo turn into?
Oh yeah, the Moon King.
No, he turns into the Sun King. Right?
Oops.
Kubo turns into the Sun
Moon
King.
Sun King.
Yeah, he turns into the Sun King.
There's a Moon King and the Sun King.
But then someone arrives. The old blind man from his dreams.
Yeah.
So this is when we actually find out that this whole thing was a trap to get him to the fortress. But now he's back at the village, and the old blind man arrives. Who is the old blind man?
The Moon King.
The Moon King, his grandfather. Yeah, and then they start like fighting with each other, and Kubo's real mad, like, you just want my eye, all this kind of stuff. And he's like, well, how do you want, you can come back to the heavens with me, and you can be infinite. And then Kubo, this is a really good part of the story. Kubo says all stories
have an end.
Yeah. And so then the Moon King, the grandfather, he's like, well, how does this one end? And Kubo's like, I kill you. So then they fight.
Yeah.
What does the Moon King turn into? Remember you told me it's like from the Chinese parades?
Chinese parades, those things that are kind of like dragons that they put in parades. That's what it kind of is. And it comes out of the Moon King's body. It
definitely does remind me a lot of those. They're like I don't know.
Dragons.
Yeah, they get held up and they move around.
They don't have wings.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, so he turns into like this crazy dragon that starts to fight Kubo.
Yeah.
And then
they come back to where the graves are.
You know what we forgot to cover? Is back whenever Monkey died and Beetle died, he picked up the bow from the Beetle's bow and arrow because it broke.
Got the other string.
And he turned it into a bracelet just like Monkey did with his mother's hair. So now he has 2 bracelets on his arm. So now we find out. And he has a banjo that only has 1 string on it.
Yeah, and then she has he goes back to where the graves are. And
well, he gets kicked back there. The dragon thing like hits him, and he like flies so far and falls into where all the tombstones are. And that's when what does he do with the strings that are on his arm?
He gets these 2 strings, put them on the banjo, and pulls one of her hair out.
His hair.
And put it on the banjo. So she has
4? Because there was 1 string, 2. I don't know about the hair from... I don't remember that. It might have happened, but I don't remember.
Yeah, that did.
Okay, well, maybe you saw something I missed. Sometimes I'm writing notes, I miss stuff. So if that's the case, so the meaning of the name of the thing is Kubo and the 2 strings.
Yeah.
So those two strings were memories. One was because he found out that the beetle was father, and the father is risking his life again to save him, to save Kubo. And the other one was the memory of his mother. So it's himself, and then so it's Kubo and the 2 strings. That's the name of the movie.
For his mom and dad.
Yeah, so that was really, really cool. Like a, cool little thing they put in the movie, like the meaning behind it, So he uses those 2 strings to kind of put power and magic back into his banjo. Mm-hmm. And what does he do? The
kind of thing comes and he puts kind of like a force field around all the people that came out of the gravestone.
So he uses the banjo to create magic and power. Yeah. And he kind of proves to the Moon King, the dragon thing, that you can never defeat us or destroy us when we have memories. The people, because he's like, you have nothing left. Everything you loved is destroyed. He's like, as long as we have memories, you can never take that away from us. So he uses the magic and power to summon all of everyone's loved ones that were dead from the tombstones and from the lamps and lanterns. And now they have this huge community of people that are there to show the Moon King, you can't take away our memories. You can't take away the things that we care most about because they're memories and you can't take those from us.
Yeah.
So that
and
was
then,
how they defeated the Moon King
and
from memories.
a giant force field around them, and then the thing, the big giant
Moon King, yeah.
Moon King, what is called Moon King, rams into
The force field.
Force field, and then a bang.
Yeah, and I think the Moon King kind of knocks himself out, like knocks himself silly by banging into it, because then we kind of awaken, or we come to a point where like he's this old man again, and he has no memory.
Yeah, he just does not know anything.
Yeah, he like knocks his memory out from banging into this force field over and over and over. He has no memory, and then all of the community. You know, I thought this was really touching too. Like all the people there.
Yeah.
They say, "Oh," because he can't remember anything. They're like, "Oh, well, you do this good. You do this good. You do this for us. You know." They show all these good deeds he's done, and it kind of, it gives him like a way to start a new life. You know, like you're not evil. You don't have to be evil. You can start anew. And that's what like the people gave him, because he lost his memory.
Yeah, and this lady that was Kubo's friend, she told the Moon King that Kubo is a storyteller, and she can tell you all the stories that you don't remember.
He can tell you all the stories that you don't remember, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. And so then we kind of realized that Kubo and the people, they defeated the Moon King with their memories and their love and their acceptance and forgiveness.
Yeah.
Yeah, they kind of forgave him and tried to help him be good. So he ends it. Kubo ends the movie saying, "This is a happy story." So that it was pretty powerful.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then, you might not know this, but did you notice how like after the movie ended, I was trying to figure out what the music was that was playing, like for the credits at the end? Do you remember? I was looking up on my phone.
Yeah.
So the song is called "While My Guitar Gently Weeps." Now, do you know what that song is?
No.
It's originally a song that your mom's favorite band, not her new favorite band, but overall. Do you know what that band is? The Beatles.
Oh, yeah.
That's a song from the Beatles.
Yeah.
But this other woman sang it for this movie, and that's actually a woman that your mom really likes too, called Regina Spektor. So I just thought that'd be something you can talk to mommy about it now, saying like, dude, they had a Beatles song at the end of the movie. That'd be really cool, huh?
Yeah.
Yeah. All right, buddy. I want to thank you for, we spent, 2 hours watching the movie. How long have we been doing this now for? We've been doing like an hour we spent doing this. So we spent like 3 hours, just me and you, because, Mom and Madison are out at a concert tonight. So we took the time to break down this podcast, talk about this awesome movie. So do you have any ideas of another one you want to do? Another movie you want to watch and talk about?
I don't even know.
You don't know right now? All right. Well, I want to thank you for doing this. So that's a wrap for the second episode of Babblin Bout Film, this special edition one, Babblin with Kids About Film. And I'll talk to you guys later. All right. Thanks. Bye. You just listened to Babblin with Kids About Film, part of the Babblin Bout Film podcast. This was episode 2, Kubo and the Two Strings. Our guest, Aiden Demmler.